香港人加油！依家係晏晝4點鐘啦，香港時間4點04分就收睇緊嘅咧，就喺 Chin World 同埋 Chin Live 嗰度嘅。咁今日咧，我哋咧會講下互聯網嘅資訊啦，互聯網嘅保安啊，應該咁講。咁請嚟嘅嘉賓咧就係 NordVPN 嘅負責人，香港同埋台灣嘅負責人。It's good to have Uni, who is the head of Hong Kong and Taiwan for NordVPN. It's good to have you here again.
Yeah. Great to be here again.
Yeah. First of all, Uni, perhaps I want to ask something very general. Why would people use a VPN on their phone when they log in or when they use the internet?
So there might be several reasons. Most often people use VPN because they want to access something that might not be available in their country. So for example, social media is blocked in some countries, like in Belarus, maybe Twitter is blocked and people want to access Twitter, or they want to access Facebook in some countries. Also, streaming services might not work, and people want to access something from their own country. So they're expats, they're traveling, and they want to watch the news from their country, but they cannot because they're abroad. Another purpose is just to hide yourself on the internet, to feel safer, because sometimes governments might track you, ISPs, so internet service providers might track your, the traffic. So people just want to feel a bit safer and a bit more private online. And VPNs definitely help that because they change your IP address, they show a completely different location, they completely hide you online. Well, not completely, you're not anonymous, but they definitely help people feel a bit safer against all the ISPs and government and hackers, especially because they just cannot get into your traffic. And it just creates a bit more safety and freedom online.
For some totalitarian regimes, let's say people use a VPN to get access to some websites because they block it. Would the government be able to break the code, so to speak, even though you say you're using the VPN to reach certain sites? So you keep on have to like move around, so to speak.
It very much depends on the country, but usually if a person is using a VPN, the government will not be able to track unless the government itself has really high level technology and can detect VPN connection easily. But usually it's just a cat and mouse game. Companies, governments create technology, VPNs create technology, and it just continues on and on the progress. But even if when you're using a VPN, and even if someone tracks you and someone says, okay, we know you're using a VPN, can you show us what you're doing? At least NordVPN will not be able to show anything because we don't log anything. So we have a very strict no logs policy. So even if anyone, Facebook, Google, Belarus asks us about the logs of a person, we have nothing to give them. So in that case, it's definitely safety. So they might know that you're using a VPN, but they will not see anything.
Oh, okay. They might know that you are using a VPN.
Yeah, because sometimes it is possible to detect that, okay, it is a WireGuard protocol, some VPN protocol, and they can see, okay, this is not a real connection, but that's usually with a bit cheaper VPNs or free VPNs that are completely unsafe and that don't hide anything online. So they're more like proxy and just to access Netflix, and that's it.
Yeah. So, for instance, countries like in Myanmar, as we know, it's under a military coup. They might know who I don't know, like you might need to register to go online, right? So they would know that you have that capability, or you are using the VPN to log on, right?
For Myanmar, to be honest, I'm not too sure, because they also in the beginning they only restricted social media, and it was a
Right.
bit easier. We definitely had the sales increase and the interest in VPNs increase from Myanmar because they only restricted Twitter or Facebook. But with every single month, week coming in, the restrictions just became a bit stronger. So I really don't know what is the situation right now. And if they're just fully on restricting the internet during certain hours, then a VPN cannot do anything, because if there's no internet, VPN will not connect. So that's usually a bit more of a difficult situation in such areas. Myanmar, India as well, because India gets a lot of internet shutdowns, and we want to help somehow, but we cannot, unfortunately.
Okay. Tell us a little bit more about NordVPN. I know it is indeed the largest VPN technology provider, right? But can you tell us where you are based, how it got started, some background about your company?
So NordVPN started back in 2012, so we're almost 10 years old. And it was founded by two guys who just wanted to create technology, who just wanted to create something more private, more secure, because they saw what was going on in the VPN world at the moment. It was only like proxies and free VPNs and just cheap connection. So they wanted to create something that is for cybersecurity, and we have been working towards that goal since then. We're focusing mainly on privacy and security of the internet. We're mainly focusing on like making the internet as free and as secure for everyone as possible. And yes, as you mentioned, NordVPN is the largest VPN at the moment, and we also have not only users that are global, but also our staff is global. So we have many offices around the world. We have people working remotely from Japan, South Korea, the United States. I am based in Lithuania, but we also have people in the UK and the Netherlands. So it's truly a global company, but we are registered in Panama. Because we don't have to, that is one of the reasons why we don't have to give the logs of our users, because European Union or the United States, they have NSA, European Union, they have a lot more restrictions. So Panama is just a safer place for registration of such products. And yeah, we're definitely working towards becoming even bigger and better. And since we started more with the American market, with European markets, we're expanding more into East Asia, Southeast Asia. So we definitely have a lot more people working towards localization, and we want to reach more people, not just English speakers, but also Chinese speakers, Spanish speakers. It doesn't matter. We want to be a product for everyone.
And the Hong Kong and Taiwan market, I guess, become strategic. Was it just a few years ago or months ago?
I started working with these markets maybe 4 years ago,
Right.
but it was not as big at that moment. Right now, I would say maybe like in the past year, it has become much bigger and much more important, especially in Hong Kong. We have seen a much bigger increase. Taiwan is also gaining interest very fast, especially in the past few months. But we have been working really hard to make everything localized, to make everything easier. We have been outreaching and working with partners in the area. So both the economic, both the social environment, and just the work of our team has definitely helped us to expand into those areas. But I would say there's still a lot to growth. It's still the work is not done yet.
I heard in some places where they run a totalitarian regime. Let's say you have a bank account in that place, and let's say if you want to wire some money out, yes, you can do it if you do the quote unquote act itself at the place where you set up your bank account. But once you leave that place, let's say you move overseas, and then you try to log on to the bank, try to do some money transfer, it doesn't work. So in that case, some people need the use of a VPN to hide where they are located in order to do the fund transfer. Is it possible?
This very much depends whether the bank is only tracking the IP. So if the
Yeah.
connection is based on the IP address, for example, you live in Canada and then connect to Hong Kong IP, and then bank just accepts it, or whether it's based on location services as well, because sometimes, especially on mobile banking, they ask for your location services, and they might see, okay, you might be connected to a Hong Kong IP, but your phone is in Canada, so they can see that. And that might be a bit of an issue. I've definitely had that issue when I wanted to transfer money to places that I lived before or back home to Lithuania, because they just have that GPS, they have the location services. So it might be trial and error just to try connecting to VPN of your country, connecting to turning off the location services. Maybe that would work. I definitely don't want to promise that it would work with every single bank, because it probably just depends on every single bank, on where you're connecting from, how you're connecting.
Depends on the bank security and their technology to block
Yes.
people from
Yeah, definitely.
transferring the money.
If they're only tracking the IP address and they can see that, okay, your ISP is in Hong Kong, your IP address is in Hong Kong, then it should be no problem. But if there's GPS involved, then yeah, difficulties. So then, because always banks want to get rid of the risk, or not to have the risk of money laundering or fraud. So it is for users' protection as well.
So it's not like a foolproof thing, but for, as I alluded to earlier, for some countries or places where they have a totalitarian regime, the so-called regulator might impose the banks to fall under certain policies. Yeah, and then that so-called firewall could be set up to block certain customers from having access to the banking service, or let's say if they are located outside of their so-called country of origin, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So I guess here comes to end of today's session. For those who want to know more about the NordVPN technology, go to the description link, click inside, and then you can go straight into the NordVPN site. And for those who are interested to know more, right? Yeah.
Yes, we have all the information, and we have the Black Friday deal.
Yeah.
Sorry, so it's a perfect timing to learn a bit more about cybersecurity.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Uni.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. You have a nice day.
You too.
Let me end the broadcast.